I had a weird dream where I traveled to Ionia to react to an Ionian cinematic and it somehow made for a decently average video. Weird times. Well, now I am back. And I'm just slightly too late to talk about what might be the biggest twist in League's history. Because for the first time, League's players are actually regaining trust in Riot. I know, that's a lot to say. Especially since the current news are already split into two sides. The people who are actually hyped about what is coming to League, and the people who dove right into another drama related to skins. I guess we'll talk about that one next time. But for now, let's just have a look at what Riot is cooking, because oh boy, Riot is cooking. So, we got another dev video where, as always, Meddler and Pabro pop up.
I'm Paul, aka Pebro.
And I'm Andre, also known as Meddler.
Don't ever do this again. I'm actually dyslexic. And so at the beginning they start by talking about spoilers. Because by now we all know that Season 1 was all about LeBlanc and Vladimir scheming in the background. And so Season 2 will be all about these two looking for the special weapon somewhere in Ionia. And because we are heading into Ionia, I think it's time for a bit of background change. However, we are not just going into Ionia, because story-wise, we are going there for the Spirit Blossom Festival, which is a canonical event where, usually for a single day, the mortals have a chance to speak with the dead, because during this time, there is usually a really strong link between the physical and the spirit realm. And so here, Meddler adds that Spirit Blossom might be Riot's favorite theme. Of course, we know this because of the number of times we got Spirit Blossom skins. But apparently this skin line is the favorite of the players too. But more importantly, as I already mentioned, Meddler said that Spirit Blossom is also a canonical event. So in short, the skins we get are essentially myths that Ionians believe in. And during the Spirit Blossom Festival, that's what the celebrations focus on. And since, as we know, every new season has a theme that is tying everything together, Season 2 of 2025 is once again taking everything and mixing it all up with Spirit Blossom this time. But first, an important thing Meddler mentioned is that when it comes to the big disruptive gameplay changes, they should only happen at the beginning of each year. In other words, that's why the Noxian season gave us the feats of strength and Atakan, while all the other seasons will be focusing in other areas, while still thematically tying everything together. And when it comes to all of these more competitive changes, it should all be about tuning them. Of course, this is all done for the greater good of competitive integrity. Which also means that because for Season 2 the competitive integrity is pretty much locked down, the new season will be focusing on the awesomeness of casual play. But before we get into that, first we get Riot Frogzone, who talks about ranked play. And from this point on, I would like to play a game which I call Where is Riot Capybara? So first, we can see him here, in the background. Just don't lose your sight of him. Anyway, Frogzone starts by talking about objective overload. This is something a lot of people had a problem with, where there is just too much chaos happening in every game. You are constantly aiming for some kind of a special objective. Be it grubs, or herald, or dragons, or Atakan, or just getting turrets. So as you'll see, most of the changes are dealing with this bigger problem. So first, there is a change for Atakan. Previously, he had the two forms, which already became slightly problematic. And that's because there is a big difference between pro play and normal ranked play. Essentially, each style of gameplay got mostly the Voracious or the Ruinous Atakan. And it was very rare to see the other form. And so, what would be the best way to fix it? Remove the forms! And so now, Voracious Atakan is getting removed, and instead he will only have one form called Thornbound. This is pretty much identical to the Ruinous version, except on top of this, the killing team will get to claim all the roses on the map, with the petals also being cleansed, which means you are getting 25% increased effect. And Atakan also gives you a whole new buff, where after getting a kill, you slow and damage all nearby enemies. So now it is gonna be all about kill streaking. Oh, and did you notice? Oh, you didn't! You had one job! You didn't keep your eyes on him, and now Capybara is gone! But you can see he is slowly creeping in on the left side of the screen. Anyway, void objectives are also getting some changes. These are all mostly related to the fact that top lane is kind of a chaos, especially in the early laning because of all the early objectives. And so void grubs will now spawn only once. Because of this, hopefully early skirmishing should not be as active. And now, once again, the early priority will be all about laning and ganking. Because of this, Herald is also being moved up to 15 minutes, and it will be harder to avoid her damage, so taking the objective will be slightly more difficult. On top of this, there are also some fixes for the bounty system. Simply said, the numbers did not always make sense. Sometimes you get a bounty on you even when you're behind, and so this is just general number tuning. And oh! You had one job, because Capybara is gone again, and now he is chilling closer to the camera. Anyway, a big change that is gonna hit us soon is a change to the entire jungling and supporting system. So now, in Champion Select, only junglers will be able to get Smite, and when you are the jungler, Smite will be automatically assigned to you. And when it comes to supports, when you get into the game, you will just automatically get the Atlas support item. There are two big reasons for these new changes. First of all, it should reduce the accidental trolling. It's when a jungler just accidentally doesn't take Smite. But also, in theory, it should help new players earn the game faster. For example, they should learn that a support should have the support item. With that said, Riot knows that sometimes people wanna play unconventional champions, and so the new system should support that. And yes, swapping roles is still a thing. Speaking of which, one last bonus that might happen here is that this new system should help us avoid lane swapping. But I wouldn't call it a victory because the players are always really crafty. Which leads us to, Capybara is gone again, and I have no idea where he is, which is scary. Anyway, this leads us to two really cool additions. The death screen now has new UI, which lets you spectate your teammates, and on top of that, Capybara returned, and on top of that, the kill streaks now get a special new sound effect, which absolutely seems to be inspired by Valorant. Hey, I have to say, it works pretty well. And that's where Capybara finally jump scares us. And here he talks about new changes for inters and griefers. Basically, the entire system is getting new improvements. Riot can't tell us what exactly is changing in the system because people would be able to avoid it if they knew how it worked. But simply said, the entire system will be better at detecting AFKs, even when you try to not be AFK to just ruin some games. So now, if you are just running around base, you're still getting punished. Also, after you get report feedback, you will now get the name of the person who was punished. Finally, this might be the best change. On top of this, the LP Vanguard refund should be working fine. Now people are getting their LP back if they get a cheater in their game. After which, they also mentioned that they will be back with some news for the honor system once they nail the changes down. With that said, the dev blog already gave us some changes. For example, the new system should be actually looking at how you're behaving, instead of just tracking the number of games you've played without being a bad person. And people should start at honor level 3, which is the average good guy rating. After which we go back to Pabro and Meddler. Or is it Meddler and Pabro? And there they get to talk about metagames and game modes. Here they start by saying that, as they mentioned previously, their goal is to always let people play something else besides just Summoner's Rift. And so, for the new season, they are introducing a whole new game mode called Brawl. First of all, wow! They are actually learning from what the casual audience wants to see in the game. But also, I genuinely did not expect them to release a whole new game mode after they just gave us the entire new Noxian Summoner's Rift, as well as the entire updated arena. Getting another new game mode after all of this is crazy. This is not the Riot I remember, but here we are with a brand new game mode. So Brawl is a 5v5 game mode that takes place on a new Bandle City map. Why Bandle City? They might link it to canon, I guess, for Spirit Blossom. Which is also cool because apparently the shopkeepers are Nora and Kabuko, two Yordles who were taken from TFT, which is where they got the models from. I'm gonna be honest, that is pretty crafty. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if the assets on this map were taken from the Wild Rift, Bandle City Summoner's Rift. But that could be a stretch. Anyway, Brawl might be the most casual player-friendly game mode we've ever gotten. It has no objectives. We just get two teams with two bases that have their own health pool. As you kill each other, you damage the enemy base. With the only side objective being that there are also minions spawning on each side, and should the minions enter the opposite base, they damage it. And that is it. This really might be the closest we've ever been to a proper deathmatch in League of Legends. And it honestly looks like a good bit of crazy fun. In fact, because the game mode is so simple, Riot mentioned it might be a good time to introduce new players to League of Legends, which is definitely something we wanna see. What's also crazy is that apparently this game mode came out of Thunderdome. In case you don't remember what this is, Thunderdome used to be Riot's internal game jam, where the devs make a game in the space of just a few days. What's awesome about this is that this proves that League is not afraid of giving us crazy new ideas, even if they are just done quickly. As long as it's fun, who cares? Also, one more thing which they didn't mention in the video is the fact that apparently Arena is doing really well. It is doing so well that it will be prolonged one more patch. And so now, right as Arena ends, Brawl will come up. Also, another thing that wasn't mentioned in the video, for some reason, is the fact that we are again getting entirely new Summoner's Rift. And now it is all themed after Spirit Blossom. So instead of brown and red, be ready for blue and pink. Which, to be fair, might make quite a lot of skill shots difficult to see. But ignoring that, once again, that's not the Riot I remember. It's crazy to see that League of Legends is actually releasing new things that are good. But yes, we might have to dive into this entire map in a separate video because once again, it is full of Easter eggs. Lastly, Riot mentions that when it comes to metagames, just like what we got with Demon's Hand, there will be something new coming up in the second half of this season, and once again, it should be just something entirely new and different. So I guess we are not getting another dating. After which we go to 100-piece Nuggets and Hylia, who talk about skins, and they start by joking about Spirit Blossom lore. I mean, we all remember Cassiopeia crushing our bones, right? Anyway, this time around, apparently the entire skin line will expand on the Ionian folklore, meaning that these new skins will join the previous myths. Examples given are Ashe, who is a wandering queen that is guiding souls into the spirit realm. I smell a bit of a lore clash with Spirit Blossom Ahri, but there is also Irelia, who is just Ashe's enforcer. Also, there are skins for Bard, Varus, Zyra, Ivern, and there is Prestige Lux. Now, in general, all of these skins are good. But of course, as I mentioned, they also come with their own drama. For example, Ivern is getting very close to the situation with Alistar's skin. Though I will say, the Ivern skin is a lot better because the spell effects actually make it work. Alistar just didn't have any spell effects, so that one didn't. And also there is the one thing where Ashe was likely supposed to be an exalted skin before the entire Mordekaiser disaster. So yes, we might have to dive into all of this in a separate video. So instead, I am very happy to say that once again, Riot is actually listening to feedback. And so after, in the Noxian season, we got a lot of skins for champions, which didn't really make sense. Instead, some champions will now get one-off skins that fit that champion. As an example, in the past, outside of just Spirit Blossom skins, we will also be able to get Pool Party Twitch, which is just Twitch if he was squirting water on the enemies. Honestly, this is in line with the April Fool's skins, which worked so well. And so, I am happy Riot keeps going in that direction. But of course, as always, Riot is still looking for feedback on the way they are handling things. And so they end this part with list time, which is the time where they just list new skins for champions. So, the next exalted skin will be for Morgana. Fun fact, you can see the new Morgana on the new Summoner's Rift. Again, we will dive into that one in a separate video. Basically, one side of the map is themed around Ashe and the other around Morgana. And when it comes to prestige skins, the next one on a pass will be Zed, and there will be a new skin for Aphelios in the Mythic store. And that is it for the list. So, because we actually knew about the Aphelios skin, this was a list with 2 new skins. And that was it. So we go back to Pabro and Meddler, or Meddler and Pabro, to wrap it up. Here we learned that Swift Play is now up globally. There was indeed a new champion teased in the new cinematic, which is Yunara, who was confirmed to be an AD carry, not a support. And that's kinda it. And finally, in May, there will be a new pro player joining, or at least revealed to be part of the Hall of Legends. So, be ready for an outrage again, of some sorts. But it was teased that it is someone who inspired a whole new generation of players. And Riot can't wait to give him the recognition he deserves. So we did get a hint. It is a guy. But that's about it from the dev update. So, overall, god damn, that's a lot of things. I have to say, once again, after the Noxian season, we are still getting a lot of things. I did not expect us to get a whole new Summoner's Rift every season on top of a new game mode, on top of a new metagame. Like previously, Riot struggled to give us new skins. How is this happening? I don't know if this is the outcome of 2025 changing League forever, but I'll tell you one thing, it definitely took the biggest budget a while to hit League.